Hello beautiful people, welcome back to another video. If you've been here for a while, you know how much I really like talking about sexual and reproductive health. And if you're new here, my name is Loise Oduor, and on this channel I talk about nursing, health, and also do lifestyle vlogs. So if you watched yesterday's news, you saw the statistics on HIV and AIDS and how high the rates are really going, especially for youths between 10 and 19. 10 and 19, I'm telling you, it was almost 5,000 and something new cases for those between 10 and 19, and it's just so sad. I remember like 3 months ago, before like the elections thing, the case was like 98 per week, and the one that I saw yesterday, it was like 97 per day. So I was like, if that is the amount of new cases per day, that means from those 97 people, it's like four new cases every hour. So that means every hour that I'm just seated in this couch like this, already 4 people are getting infected with HIV and AIDS, and they're young people, 10 to 19 years of age, and that is just so sad. Yes, I know it's usually so hard to talk about it because most of us have grown in African communities whereby talking about sex and HIV and pregnancy is just something that people are really trying to avoid, and yet it is something that is really happening. You know, for us, when we were growing up, if you guys can remember, if you're within that age of 20 something, you can remember when we were growing up, when they used to talk to us about HIV and AIDS, they used to show us pictures of people who have gonorrhea and syphilis, and people whom their private part, image they want their private parts. The private parts were like having pus and blood, and it looks disgusting, and they usually tell you that if you have sex, this is what is going to happen to you. So they used to threaten us not to have sex, because if you have sex, this is what is going to happen to you. So we just lived with that fear that sex is something that is bad and is something that is going to affect you and make you sick, and yeah. But you know that the generation that we are right now, people are so informed. Like, these kids really know a lot than you think they do. Like, working in the community and being able to work with organizations that deal with teenagers, helping them like know their status and prevent pregnancies. You'd sit with a 12-year-old and they'll tell you how much they really know about preventing HIV and AIDS and preventing pregnancies, and you'll be like, when I was 12, I knew nothing about family planning, nothing. Like, I even knew nothing about sex and blah blah blah. But nowadays they're so informed. Like, even most of them have phones, they have access. You know, like nowadays everything is on the internet. They have access, they can see all these things in the internet, they can learn all these things in the internet. And nowadays they're even trying to reach them through these organizations and talk to them about HIV and AIDS and pregnancies. But again, the sad part is that yes, they're being talked to, yes, they have access to this information, but then why is it that the cases are still going high? So for me, the question usually is, who is talking to these kids, and what is it that they're being told about sex, HIV, AIDS, and pregnancies? What is it that they're being told about this? And you guys can just comment down below, because this has been an argument among so many people, that do you think should be talking to these teenagers about sex and HIV and AIDS? Because if you ask teachers, they say their parents are supposed to be talking to them about this. If you ask the parents are like, they're supposed to be taught about this in school. The government should be able to find ways of talking to these kids about this. So everyone is trying to blame the other. For me, I usually say everyone should be involved in talking to these kids about HIV and AIDS, but the best place where you should start from is home. Like, you should start from home way even before you start going to school. You guys can remember when you were still in primary, they used to teach us, what was that song? Something like, these are my private parts, private part. These are my private parts. No one should see them. No one should touch them. So, you know, these are the things that you should start being taught when you are way young, even like 4 years or 5 years. These are things that you already know, so that by the time someone else, let's say your teacher, wants to talk to you about sex or HIV and AIDS or pregnancies, you have a certain idea with it, like, in you. Because most of these girls, they usually come to us in the facility when they're already like 15 years. So, you know, someone who is 15 years, they've already seen, I'm not saying they've experienced a lot in life, but they've already seen a lot. They've already seen a lot from home, how you parents behave, how you parents talk about sex. You will see even most of them live in these single rooms. they even already maybe have a certain thing in their head about sex. So if you never talk to them, me trying to talk to them and convince them is going to be so hard, because they already have an idea about what they know about sex. So you should just start from home. Start by talking to your kids about it. I usually love parents who tell even their young kids that no one should touch your wee-wee, no one should touch your chest, no one should touch you here and here. If someone touches you here, you come and tell me. If someone tries to tell you we should go to a certain place or do a certain thing, you should tell me, and you should first start by saying no. Like, you know, these are the kind of things that we as parents should like start talking about. Then by the time they go to school and they're taught about the reproductive thing and how this thing goes, they already have an idea of what they really want. Because if I don't know it's bad for someone to touch me down here, if I don't know it's bad for someone to do this and this to me, like, I should learn to say no. If someone tells me to go with him to their house, I should start having doubts about it. If I don't know that, that means no matter how you teach me about these things in school, I'll still get myself into that state. So you should start from home. Start by teaching your kids when they are way young, so that you normalize doing these things. Because I cannot start telling you to start doing it right now when they're already 19 years of age. You've never even talked to them when they were way back when they were 9 years. You never even told them, like, this is what sex is. If you have sex, this is what can happen. So to prevent this from happening, this is what you do. So if that is something you never said before, when this girl or this boy was young, that means even if I try and tell them that this is something about HIV, something about pregnancy, they'll just take it, but they won't take it that much serious, because so because you're scared of talking to them, you find that what they do, like me, I really hate parents who force their kids to get into family planning. Like, you find a mother, they'll come with their younger, maybe she's 15 years of age, she's still in high school, so they'll come and tell you, like, I want you to insert an implant on this girl because she's so promiscuous, she has already started talking to boys. Like, I already heard that she's talking to boys, she's working with boys, like she's visiting boys at their homes. So that is the reason why I want to bring her, so that you can insert an implant on them. And you're like, damn, so you're forcing this girl to get an implant. You haven't even talked to them about sex. You haven't even talked to them and don't know if they have really even started engaging in sex itself. Only because you heard that they are working with boys now, you want to, like, force them to start using family planning. They don't know even which family planning this is. They even have no idea. Like, parents are really just messing up. You're forcing it. You know, the reason why you're forcing it is because you never made it a conversation before. So now you don't know what to do, and you don't want to feel ashamed, because most of our African parents, they'll be like, I don't want to be ashamed, and the people say in the community that, oh, my girl got pregnant, I don't know, she was impregnated by who. You don't want people to talk about it. So the only way you can do is force a family planning method on that girl, so that even if she's so promiscuous with all those men, she won't get pregnant, and you won't feel ashamed. But what you forget is that it's not even only about pregnancy. Remember, it's the dignity of this girl, how she feels. And apart from that, pregnancy is not the only thing you can get after having sex. Yeah, like, people can get HIV and AIDS. There are other sexually transmitted infections that you can get. Remember, yes, maybe you can test yourself and get that you are HIV negative, but then you might be having other sexually transmitted infections. So, like, why do you guys not think about that at all? Remember, like, long ago, before ARVs, you could identify someone who has HIV and AIDS, but nowadays people are just the same. People look the same. So when I was watching that, I think it was Citizen, there was a girl who was telling her story that she's been living with HIV and AIDS ever since she was born, and she got to know about it, like, when she was already a teenager. Like, she's been living with HIV ever since she was a child, and no one told her about it. Who have just been saying, you are taking Panadol and you are a sickly child. So that is the only thing she knew. She's a sickly child and she's been taking Panadol. So you find that most of these kids who live with HIV and AIDS and yet they don't know about it, they end up engaging in sex with other kids. Like they know very well they don't have HIV. The only reason as why they go to the hospital is because they are sickly and they go to the hospital to take Panadols. So they can really get to infect other people without them knowing. Like they're not doing it intentionally. They don't even know they have HIV itself until one day they get to the facility and get tested and they're like, so I have HIV. And when they go to the parents say, oh, you've been living with HIV, you were born with HIV. You're like, why didn't you start having this kind of talks long before? Like when this child is at the age where they can be able to understand, start telling them, so you have HIV and this is what is happening and this is why you are taking these medications, this is what these medications are for. Like just explaining to them so that at least they know. Like I don't know. And even when it comes to testing, you find that at times most of these teenagers, they come for testing because yes, we have those organizations that nowadays support the testing. Like for us in the facility I usually work in, they have free HIV testing and free family planning, so they'll come for free HIV testing. But then for them, it's the fact that I don't like the partner I have doesn't have HIV right now. But you know, at times you can be that you already have it, but you're still in the stage whereby the incubation stage whereby you can't see the virus yet, but then this person has the virus already. So you like actually see their reactions whenever they realize that they're not HIV positive. Like even if they come themselves, so you test them and then you tell them, so this is what happens if you are negative, this is how it shows. If you're positive, this is how it shows. So if you can see your result, you are HIV negative, and they'll be so happy that you, why, hey, thank you Jesus, thank you Jesus, thank you Jesus, at least I'm HIV negative, at least I don't have it, at least, hey, at least that boy did not lie to me. And you're like, damn, first of all, you're saying you met that guy like a few weeks ago. So even if you have it, maybe it hasn't shown yet. And the fact that you found yourself negative today doesn't mean when you go and mess around the other day or the other month that things are going to work out the same. Maybe you got lucky that this guy you met wasn't HIV positive, but then you're not sure about the next partner you're going to meet. So just be careful. Like I'm usually so worried with the fact that most of the girls nowadays, they are afraid of getting pregnant than they are afraid of getting HIV. And it's like they feel that pregnancy can show, like like you can show everyone you're pregnant, like everyone can see she's pregnant. So that is what they're scared of. But they feel like for HIV and AIDS, you can just take drugs, but then they don't realize that the mortality rate for HIV is still high. Like yes, we are really trying to reduce it, but it is still somewhere high. Like they are still like, first of all, even who wants to take medicine each and every day? Like I really usually try to get the fact that as to why people fear getting pregnant than they fear getting HIV. And I can't get. Another thing is that most of these organizations find that they target girls, because for girls they're the ones who get pregnant, and when they go to the clinic they realize that you're HIV positive, and so you find that the target is usually mostly on the girls. But I realized that we are really forgetting the boys, and the question is, who are the girls having sex with? Because if you are really into testing the girls, advising the girls, and like doing all those things that the organizations are doing to these girls, you're forgetting that these girls are meeting with these boys. So I know that most of these girls usually engage in sex with older men for like to generate income and all those reasons as to why they do that. But remember, some of them also engage with boys their age, and boys their age are also still young. They still don't have an idea of what is happening. So you should also try and engage all the boys in this thing. When it comes to free testing, when it comes to counseling, like you should always try and engage boys. The other thing is about counseling, and I know nowadays we have youth-friendly facilities. Like when you go to the facility, there's usually an area where is youth-friendly, whereby you'll find. I really hope that this youth-friendly services, the people who are offering it are youths, because it's really hard to talk to someone who's your mother's age. Because the reason as to why you can't talk to your mother is because they'll judge you. And when you find someone who's your mother's age, you'll also feel some kind of judgment from it. So I really hope that we're having youths there. So when you go to those places in the facility, they're able to do the testing and the free counseling, because we find that going directly to the hospital is so traumatizing. Because I've met girls who told me, I went to this hospital, but then when I got there, the nurse was so judgmental because I wanted to get tested and I wanted to start using family planning, and because I'm 15, she was so judgmental and she started talking rudely to me and telling me I'm so promiscuous, that girl, why does a girl my age has already started engaging in sex, and she was so judgmental, and I felt like I'm not doing this, like I'm just going to do it secretly. But then the problem of doing it secretly is that I'm putting my life at risk. So that is why she came to us, because she knew we are giving the program for free, and it is a private institution. No one is seeing you getting in there, and you don't know anyone, and the people who are there are youths. So let's create youth friendly facilities with the youths and people who are friendly. Like we usually say, we should just try and get these healthcare workers who are judging youths only because they come for those services. Like we should just try and get them. I usually say, one day when I find a girl who comes I got a nurse, and the nurse was so rude, and she told me she cannot give me the services, that I'm too young, and blah blah, and all those things you say. I think we should just start getting onto them. Like I'll be like, let's go to that, and so that we can embarrass her well, that she can know she's doing the wrong thing. Because if you as a healthcare worker is not making this thing available for these girls, you're the ones who are making it a problem. You're the ones who are making the rates of HIV go up because of the stigma. You're making these girls scared to come to the facility. They're scared to talk to you about what they feel. Because if I'm scared to do it at home, the only place I can be able to do it safely is the facility. But if the facility also, when I get there, I meet people who are my mother's age, and they're making me feel like I cannot also talk about it, then I'm just going to do things my own way. And the fact is, I don't know what I'm doing. You get me? That thing, there's this other time we find usually some parents, when you give these services, we're really trying to help these girls, because we've realized that it is happening, and we cannot keep quiet about it. The only thing we can do is act, because these are not girls you can, like, talking to them is not enough. Now, in fact, nowadays children are so rude. Talking to them is not enough. But you just want to place them somewhere and talk to them and tell them, oh, sex is bad, I don't know, don't do this, don't do this. And they're going to school every day. They leave you, especially because nowadays our parents are the parents of this generation. Like, we are so empowered, and everyone has a job to go to every day from morning to night, and like no one is staying home to see what the kids are doing. So every day you go to work, Monday to Monday, and you don't even have an idea what your kids are doing. So you find that most of these kids, when they come to the facility, they're scared of their parents, because they say, oh, my dad won't allow me to use this family planning, what. But then you talk them through it, and then you tell them, let's say something like condoms. You know, condoms is one of the safest ways to prevent both pregnancy and HIV and AIDS. So when they carry these condoms and go with it home, when the parents find these condoms, they're going to come with a police officer to your facility, and they'd be like, why are you giving family planning to my young daughter? Like, because you find that, yes, they're under 18, these are still kids, and because they're kids, they need consent. You cannot just, they're still under their parents. So their parents will come, the police officers, and they'll be like, I never had a consent for you to give family planning to my child. And that is one of the biggest challenge. Like, the parents don't want to talk to the kids, and they don't want you as a healthcare worker to talk to the kids and try and help the kids out. Like, they don't want both of them. So that's a really big problem. I like to talk to you guys, like, just try and talk to the parents around and tell them, like, if you can't talk to the kids, let other people who can do it, because the moment you start bringing fear in, and like getting to that extent of bringing a police officer and blah blah blah, you are making even matters worse. Like, you are worsening the matter. Yeah, just accept it that this generation has gotten to that point whereby our kids are engaging in sex, and the only thing we can do about it is to act upon it. Like, That is the only way we can save these kids. If you don't want us to save your kids for you, my dear, they're going to get HIV and AIDS, they're going to get pregnant at an early age, and then you'll be like, oh, I don't know who did this, like they usually see parents trying to put on blame games on teachers and the government, and yet you as a parent, you never took the responsibility. So I know we, like the parents of nowadays, we are so busy, we have work from 7 to, I don't know, 10 p.m. we don't know where, but just try and find time. Usually say, if you don't find time now, you'll find time to cry later on. Find time and talk to your kid, know what they are doing with their lives. Like, don't make it hard the way it was hard for us when we were growing up. Talk to your kid, sit down with them, ask them, like, are they dating? Have they already started, like, having sex? Like, what are they using? Are they protecting themselves? Just try and do it for your own child. Because, like, how do you expect me, a healthcare worker, or how do you expect a teacher from school or someone from the government to really take care of your child and make sure they're not getting pregnant or getting infected, and yet you as a parent, you whom this is your child, you don't even want to try? Like, how do you expect me to do it if you don't want to try it yourself? So just try. Yeah, I think about this, I can really talk about this the entire day, but then that is just what I wanted to pass today. Like, because it's like such things usually make me sad. Like, after I've watched such things, I usually just so sad because I end up thinking about it the entire time, because I know how hard it gets, because I've dealt with these girls. I know how hard it really gets. So let's really try as parents, let's try talk to our girls as early as possible, as early as they just start noticing that I'm a girl and this is a boy. Start talking to them at that stage, so that by the time they are a teenager, it's easy for you to bring the sex talk and to bring the matter of protecting themselves at that time. It will be easier if you started talking to them as a child. And we as teenagers, teenagers, please just try and take care of yourselves. Just know you still have a life to live. Your life doesn't end at you trying to get that 50 bob from that guy or that 100 shillings from that guy. So the organization that we usually have, when after giving the services, usually give them credit like 50 or 100 points or 100 shillings that can be turned into Kenya into money, so that they can be able to go and get these things. Because they'll tell you, I met that guy and I was only engaging in sex with him for that 50 shillings that I can get to buy pads. You imagine such kind of things. Yeah, so just try and take care of yourselves. Like, this life, you only live it once. Like, learn to say no. Yes, that guy will take you to their house and they'll try to tell you to do this and this. Learn how to say no. Know your rights, and take care of yourself. Take care of your body. You only got this one body. Know how to know how these things happen. Because yes, you don't want to get pregnant, you want to have that family planning method, but also know that if you meet a guy whom you don't know their status, use a condom. Use a condom and insist on using a condom. Like, if that guy doesn't want to use a condom, just refuse, because there's no reason for you to just do it because so, like, oh, I'm saying I to me a condom, and you just go for it only because you feel like anyways nothing will happen. You'll get HIV. You can just only during that one session that you had with that guy, you can get HIV and AIDS. So take care of yourselves, guys. And yeah, that was it for today, and see you in my next video. Bye bye.